Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the speed of light in which the cannabis industry moves. On the line with us is Dan Kimmis, our CBD correspondent with Good CBD Products.
You know, I'm just kind of sitting here this morning, Chronic. I've been testing some product this morning, so suffice it to say, I am ready for this morning.
I'm ready for a new segment, Sample Saturdays maybe. I'm not sure if it's even going to be on Saturday. I don't know what it's going to be called. We should definitely get some samples, test them out, and review them. Come back to the Talking Hedge and check that out. And in the meantime, there's some interesting news out there with CannTrust Cannabis being suspended by Health Canada. We'll jump into that in a moment. Maine cannabis regulators are trying to end seed-to-sale tracking confusion. We've been inundated with that for 5 years now in Washington. So good luck, Maine. There's a chart that Maryland's 2019 medical cannabis sales are due to double in 2018. Many Ohio medical cannabis patients are very dissatisfied with the program. That's not surprising. And then California issues an executive order on vaping for e-cigarettes and marijuana problems. That story is moving fast.
Yeah, funny industry, right? You know, you go to bed, you get up, you're like, okay, it's different again.
Right. It moves quickly. But there's still so many things that are moving fast. So GB Science sells the Louisiana medical marijuana company for $32 million. That's huge. We mentioned that Utah is increasing its medical marijuana dispensaries. New York's banning flavored vape pens. Cresco Labs acquires a marijuana company, Trike, for $282.5 million.
How does that even happen, right? I mean, that is a 9-figure move. Come on.
Yeah, just wait for the $1.6 billion merger we're going to talk about in a second. But let's start off with Ontario. I was just up in Vancouver for the International Cannabis Business Conference, ICBC in Vancouver, talking about Quebec and some of the differences in state-owned operators versus Vancouver, which a lot of people believe there's still some influence with a known biker gang up there and how Vancouver was the last to open up and why and some of the intricacies within that. But the point is with this article is that Ontario lost $42 million selling cannabis. Not really sure like how that happens. So cannabis is supposed to be profitable. How can you lose money selling cannabis? According to the article, as it turns out, there's a bunch of ways to do that. And so
42 million? Come on. Even with a Canadian, rate on it all. 42 million. Somebody needs to be checking the books a little more often, my friend. That's the thing. It's not like you came in, you walk in that morning and you're like, oh my God, we lost 42 million yesterday. No, there were some indicators, I'm sure.
So the Financial Post, which broke the numbers down in greater detail, noted that the $44 million cost of sales was so great that it obliterated 2/3 of the company's $64 million revenue, leaving a gross product of only $19.8 million. So apparently they just oversold or overpaid for it. That's pretty ridiculous. We'll have to dive into that story a little bit more.
Pay $1.10 and sell it for 90 cents.
That's exactly what Canada's doing. Everyone thinks that they're, from Aurora to Tilray to Canopy Growth, they all believe that their prices wholesale will remain at $1.74 per gram. And we've already seen, prices per gram here in the States reach 7 to 8 cents, especially around like November with harvest season. And it's raining right now. So good luck to all those high yielding Blue Dream that want a late harvest in November. I don't know how they're going to survive. I'm thinking that we might have a shortage in outdoor due to all of the rain. We were expecting kind of an Indian summer with a longer summer. It wasn't very nice up here in the Pacific Northwest. We didn't have the fires and the overcast that we did in the last 2 years, but not much of a summer. So moving on to Canada and the loss of another license, we reported that Agrima or Ascent Industries lost their license because of selling products they shouldn't have been. It looks like CannTrust is also having their license suspended because their executives knew that they were growing in rooms that they shouldn't have been. It's the second company to lose their license. So crazy.
Regulation. Here's the thing. One of amazing aspects of this industry is it isn't just be a good operator, it's also have been a good operator. You know, you can lose your license for a lot of reasons, and it can be legacy stuff. Geez, 6 months ago, we did blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, again, this is where the risk involved from an investment perspective. And the reason that you want people like us on the ground and such is, again, you're going to go drop 7 or 8 figures into one of these operations. You better know. You better know.
Right. And according to this article on Marijuana Business Daily, Health Canada says that the implementation of the following measures could address the public health and safety concerns that contribute to the suspension, which is measures to make sure cannabis is produced and distributed only as authorized by law and regulations, including systems to control the movement of marijuana. 2 is steps to recover any cannabis that was not authorized. And 3 are actions to improve compliance with the law and regulations among key personnel, which is improved measures to maintain records, including a plan to improve inventory tracking. So according to Health Canada's compliance and enforcement policy, the Cannabis Act, a range of enforcement actions are available, and those include license revocation, issuance of ministerial order, and monetary penalties up to $1 million Canadian dollars.
Well, that's nothing when you're talking about some of these crew that are running, you know, at the stock numbers they're talking about. But the fact is, jerking the license, okay, that's something.
But their stock is down 87%, so everyone's hurting on this one. But who's not hurting is iAnthus. They posted a $1.6 billion merger. You know, you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, like, how do 9 figures even happen? And we're looking at $1.6 billion. That is quite the merger.
Yeah, 10 figures, right? And again, how far we've come. It wasn't that long ago where you'd see 5 and 6 figure deals in the cannabis space. Then you started to see 7 figure, and now, I mean, again, what comes after 10 figure, Chronic? What's after 10?
A gabillion? I don't even know.
Right? I don't even know.
So it looks like if you head straight east from Naples, Italy, you're going to run into North Macedonia, which is interesting because they are expanding their medical cannabis program to boost the economy. I just ran into an individual from Macedonia. He's actually living in Germany and expanding his products and branding, but mentioned that Macedonia is doing this for revenue. That's no surprise, right? I think that we're going to see a lot of people adding cannabis as a revenue generator when you see a correction in housing, whether it's residential or commercial, whether it's the bond market, whether it's the equities market. You're going to see a correction. You're going to see a dip. And in order to, you know, make up for the lost revenues, might as well have some cannabis taxes.
Right. Or you touched on it, or literally just other options. What are those other options? Oh, cannabis is a good one. Okay, let's do it then. You know, there you go. It's wonderful. It's actually neat to see it, you know, normalize a little bit. And way to go, Macedonia, right? You know, what a forward-thinking country.
That's right. They might be looking to Canada in October for their 2.0 rollout for additional solvent extracts and for specific edibles and beverages. So we'll have to stay tuned to that. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't.